Hello there and welcome to my workshop, and welcome to this second segment of machining this American bald eagle. I'm using the new program Carveco, which is the old ATCAM program, and I'll leave a link down below this video for you to go to their website and have a look for yourself. Before we go to the machining, I just want to draw your attention to one item. On my YouTube page now, in that top corner over there, you'll find that there's a Patron tab. If you can, go have a look, and if you can help, I would be very, very grateful, because operating this YouTube channel now and putting out the high-tech videos that I am doing, I'm retired now, and quite honestly I need a bit of help, I think. So if you can, please help. So now I've got that big 1/2 inch or 12.7 millimeter 2-flute cutter in and tightened up. So now we're going to set the Z height. Now with this machine it's very easy because I have a Z height setting tool. You just simply put it underneath the tool on top of the material there and press probe. And it will come down very gently until it touches that probe, and it will register in Mark 3 the correct setting. So what I need to do now is to come over here to File, Load G-Code, and come into my removable disc, and it's cut 1 rough-in 12.7 millimeter, double click, and it's in. Regen the toolpath, and what I normally do is I start up Mark 3 at a reduced rate, and to do that you go here. I'm going to start it up at about 20%, which gives me time, if I see something going wrong, to come over here and either press feed, hold, emergency stop, or reset. Either one of those three will halt the machine and halt the program. Okay, so the roughing went pretty well without a hitch. It does always leave this bit of furry stuff, but that really doesn't matter. Sometimes I cut it off with just the cutters. However, we are left with a bit of a problem. I'll just move the gantry down out the way, out of its home position, and I've also taken the boot off because you wouldn't be able to see the cut otherwise. So normally when I'm running the machine, I run with the boot on, obviously, but for short runs, and so you can see exactly what's going on, I do run with the boot off, and I use a shop vac. Right, so the problem we have, or I have, is we've carried out the roughing cut which went without a hitch. Not a problem. But we're just going to put this tool in, and the cutting area, if I bring it closer, the cutting area up the shank here, or up the cutting face, is about 32 millimeters maximum. Well, that cutter is going to come over here and it's going to snap the cutter off when it meets this piece of wood. And not only that, the nut on the end of the collet here is going to dig into this. Now that could do two things. It could snap a piece of wood off and make a big mess. It could even stall the spindle, which isn't a very nice thing to do at all. So what I'm going to have to do is, I've got a surfacing cutter. I'm going to put this one in, and manually with the pendant I am going to machine this off both sides, only down a ways, down to about there, just to get it out the way, because this is going to be cut off here and here at the end to make the plaque. So we're going to do that right now. So I'm just going to change the tool and we'll do that. So I've got my pendant, and I recommend these to all of you. Right, so what we'll do is go Y, just bring it forward slightly, a bit more, X. I just want to take it slightly over that way because I want the center, or this edge here, to be just over here. I want to do it in one cut, or one slice each time. Probably take about, take it off to about here. So that's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 runs. Should be okay. That'll do. Down to the Z. I'm going to take about 3 millimeter, which is about 1/8 of an inch, off each time. So I'm going to start the spindle up now, and I'll show you how to do this manually. Now I'm going to set it at quite a slow pace. As long as you're careful, you can do this manually, no problem. Now, to start your spindle up in Mark III, this is the easiest way I have found. When you haven't written a G-code through any program, this is the way to start your spindle up and set a RPM. So you come to the MDI window here, and in the input section here, you just put S, capital S, and we'll start off with 10,000, press enter, come back to the program run window, it's in here, press start spindle. And I can tell by the sound of that, probably not enough for that tool, probably want to give it a little bit more grunt. So what you can do is, in this window here, is highlight it, and we're going to go 12,000, press enter, it'll go to 12,000, highlight it again, press 14,000, press enter, and we're going to go even further. We're going to go to about 16,000. So highlight 16,000, enter. I know from experience that sounds about right. So okay, here we go. It's set to quite a slow rate. That may be a little bit too slow. Select the Y. A little bit slower. Yeah, that's going to cut it okay. This, incidentally, is an ER20 collet. It's a type of chuck. It's a very, very good chuck, actually, if I can get it out. And this is a collet. You see, it's got many different slots down it. So when this taper and this taper, there's a taper in here and a taper up in the end of the spindle there. When this closes up, it crushes down on the tool as a very, very good tight fit. Incidentally, the reason this made short work of that is because this is a 2.2 kilowatt spindle. Normally, if you ordered a machine, the standard machines come with a 1.5 kilowatt or less. And with the 1.5 kilowatt, a 1/4 inch shank is the largest tool you can put in them. But with these 2.2 kilowatts, you can put, let me see, 1/2 inch shank, or 12.7 millimeters. Okay, so if you're thinking about buying a machine, get a 2.2 kilowatt upgrade. It's well worth it. So, to put a tool in, you first of all put the collet into the end of the nut, collet nut like that, so it fits in there. And you get your tool, and you just push in there like that. Now you need to get the tool through so it's just flush with the other side. Okay, so that means the maximum collet is in contact with the shank of the tool, and that is what you're left with, okay, to do machining. And we know that, I think this is 32 millimeters. You can go in 32 millimeters in depth before you run out of cutting edge. So we'll just put that in there. Hold the shaft and just nip it up firm, quite firm. All right, don't over tighten it. And now I can hear you ask, how the hell is he going to find the zero? Because I've just machined this away. Well, that area there hasn't been touched. So I can still Z0 off the top of that, which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, instead of using the automatic probe, I'm just going to show you the manual method then. And that is to find the zero of the workpiece, or the Z, to find the Z0, and all you simply do is use a piece of paper and you put it under the tool, and you fetch the tool down very slowly until the paper just catches. So I know that that tool is about 1/1000th of an inch off the top of that piece of wood, and that's close enough. So now I'm going to set the 0 in Z, in Mach 3. So you have more control over your machine in starting the finishing cut off. I always make it a practice of starting the machine or starting the program up and running it at about 20%, and sometimes even 10%, just to make sure that everything is going to happen the way you want it to happen, and you've got time to catch it. In other words, stop the whole process if you see something going wrong. So this is what you do. You come into here and you just toggle this down so you are running at 20%. I always find this system works very well for me. So here we go. See, very quietly, and you've got a chance to stop it if you have to. And now here's the ramp in that you see me you do in Carveco. And it's into the material about 1 millimeter, which is pretty well perfect. I think I can bring that up to full speed now, and I think I'll bring the RPM up a bit more too. Okay, that turned out rather nice. I really like the contrast between the Western red cedar and the Tasmanian pine, and you might understand now a little better when I say I wanted to eradicate or cut out entirely the Western red cedar and just have the 3D model in the Western red cedar. And if you notice, I think, which is the best, if you look at it through from this side, you can just detect there's like 0.5 millimeter or like a 32nd of an inch cut into the pine there. Okay, so it's left then the 3D carving of the American bald eagle solely in the Western red cedar. However, I've just discovered that Western red cedar has a drawback on a CNC router anyway. Now I use speed and feeds and the tools that I would normally use in oak or pine or whatever, and but this is the first time I've actually machined Western red cedar, and it looks quite ragged. If you notice, I've got a lot of machining by hand now, so I've probably got about 2 hours work with a Dremel and a cutter like a ball end cutter there, but I'm going to have to go and clean all that furring off now before I can finish it. So I suppose I better get on with that. Well, that turned out to be pretty spectacular, and it's very true to what you see in Carveco. Thank you for joining me in my workshop today. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget there's 2 channels and there's 350 videos on wood turning, CNC routing, laser, CNC milling, and the associated programs with those machines. And if you would like to assist me to operate this YouTube channel, I have a Patron page now which you can go and have a look at, because I'm retired now and this is my full-time job. And as you can imagine, it's very expensive to produce tutorial videos of this nature. So thank you for joining me, and it's bye for now.